EA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Bobby Swift will start at pole position for the 25th race of 2011, but Jimmy Cables would be out on lap 4 because of an engine failure, and Chip Gearings would be out for the same reason the very next lap. Moray Clutchburn would be out on lap 7 because of a cut tire, and Joe Brakecheck would be out 5 laps later because of an engine failure, and Rex Reveler would be out on lap 45 because of an engine failure again, and Dud Throttleman would be out on lap 48 because of a failed jump. Brick Hicks would be out 10 laps later because of a crash, and Denny Carlin would be out on lap 65 because of yet another engine failure. His teammate Kyle Bushtire would be 8th as of lap 85, with Rex, Greg Beeple, Paul Racedraft, James Garrison, and David Gillicar. Why? And then he'd be 9th as of lap 90, where he wrecks who? Reb Meeker, not Reb Meeker! And David Rudicar would be 20th as of lap 91, where he wrecks David Raycar and himself. This is probably an accident, and here is an image of the crash. I hope David Rudicar is okay. Kyle Bushtire would be 3rd as of lap 251. Who does he wreck this time? He wrecked Tony Gasworth. Why? And he also led the most laps, leading for 94 of them. And then his older brother Kurt would win the race, winning the 25th race of 2011, with Bobby Swift finishing 2nd, Lightning McQueen 3rd, Brad Keselowski 4th, and Kyle Bushtire rounding out the top 5. Leo Carnell is the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 26th. Lightning McQueen will start at pole position for the 26th race of 2011, where JJ Traley is out on lap 7 because of an engine failure, and Matt Virulent is out the very next lap for the same reason. Paunchy Wipeout would accidentally wreck himself on lap 14, and Scott Speed would be out 2 laps later because of yet another engine failure, and his teammate Brian Vickars would be out for the same reason 2 laps later. Ernie Gearson had to retire from the race after just 20 laps because he got too tired, and Jack DePost would be out 5 laps later because of an engine failure, and Casey Gears would wreck out 5 more laps later. Way later in the race, on lap 79, Floyd Mulvihill would be out because of an engine failure. Kyle Bushtire would be 19th as of lap 126, when he wrecks Cal Weathers, David Raycar, Juan Pablo Montoya, Mark Burnsley, and Chip Gearings. Why? The Mean Yellow Car's teammate Denny Carlin would lead the most laps, leading for 76 laps, but Bobby Swift would win the 26th race of 2011, with Brick Yardley finishing 2nd, Brad Keselowski 3rd, Kyle Bushtire 4th, and Jimmy Cables rounding out the top 5. And who is the last car to finish on the lead lap? It is none other than Reb Meeker, who celebrates another lead lap finish. Cal Weathers will start at pole position for the 27th race of 2011, where Kyle Bushtire would wreck a bunch of cars. Why? And his teammate Joey Logierno would wreck Brian Vickars and himself on lap 332. Jeff Burnton would be out on lap 358 because he failed to jump, and Jack DePost would be out on lap 362 because of an engine failure. Kurt Bushtire would be 8th as of lap 364. Who does he wreck? Clint Bowcar. Why? And Lightning McQueen would get flipped on lap 376 because of Kyle Bushtire. Why? Darren Leadfoot would lead the most laps this race, leading for 136 laps, but Cal Weathers would be the winner of this race, winning the 27th race of 2011, where Carl Edwards would finish as the runner-up, Brad Keselowski would finish 3rd, Darren Leadfoot 4th, and Jimmy Cables once again rounding out the top 5, and Casey Gears would be the last car to finish on the lead lap. Lightning McQueen will start at pole position for the 28th race of 2011, but Kyle Bushtire, being a mean yellow car, wrecked many other cars, and Casey Gears would go airborne on lap 366 because of Joey Logierno. Why? and Lightning McQueen would lead the most laps, leading for 157 of them, and Kurt Busch-Tire would be the winner of this race, winning the 28th race of 2011, where Bobby Swift would finish as the runner-up, Cal Weathers would finish third, Lightning McQueen fourth, and Carl Edwards rounding out the top 5, and James Garrison would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 34th. Greg Beeple will start at pole position for the 29th race of 2011, where JJ Traley would be out on lap 12 because of an engine failure, and Casey Gears would be out 4 laps later for the same reason, and Chip Gearings would be out 2 laps later because of an engine failure, and he complains about being out because of the engine failure. Maybe his team should get better engines. Rev Rodages would be out on lap 27 because of a crash, and Brad Kozlowski would wreck other cars on lap 34. Bill Gears would be out on lap 72 because of a cut tire, and Joey Logierno would wreck other cars. Why? Cal Weathers would lead the most laps, leading for 199 of them, but he would actually win the race, winning the 29th race of 2011, with Bobby Swift finishing second once again, Brick Yardley third, Lightning McQueen fourth, and Casey Corner rounding out the top 5, and Slate Granger being the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd. Bobby Swift will start at pole position for the 30th race of 2011, where Ricard Smith would be out on lap 7 because of an engine failure, and once again, Chip Gearings would be out because of an engine failure, but this time on lap 11. Rex Revler would also be out because of an engine failure 8 laps later. James Garrison would take the lead on lap 20. And here is what his crew chief had to say, congratulating his racer for taking the lead. But Kyle Busch-Tire had to bump James Garrison into the wall, and Speedy Comet would be out on lap 34 because of a crash, and Ernie Gearson had to retire from the race on lap 61 because of an engine failure. Tommy Highbanks would be out on lap 98 because he hit the wall too hard, and Phil Tankson would be 6th as of lap 127. Who does he wreck? The mean yellow car! Hooray! But it did put Murray Clutchburn, Paunchy Wipeout, Dirksen DeAugustino, and Jeff Bumpers would all go down a lap. And Joey Logierno would be 26th as of lap 321. Who does he wreck? Ralph Carlo! Why, you mean orange car? And Carl Edwards would lead the most laps this race, leading for 95 of them. Tony Gasworth would win the 30th race of 2011, followed by Bobby Swift in second, Carl Edwards in third, Kurt Busch-Tire fourth, and Cal Weathers rounding out the top 5. Carl Clutchin would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 31st, and James Garrison would finish 9th this race. Lightning McQueen will start at pole position for the 31st race of 2011, where Chip Gearings is out yet again because of an engine failure, and Joey Logierno made fun of him. Why? And Chip Gearings actually has a really good comeback to that. James Garrison would be 18th as of lap 17, where he wrecks the mean orange car. Hooray! And then he would be 9th as of lap 85. Who does he wreck? Kurt Busch-Tire. And he puts him down by 2 laps. He's still in the race. And Ernie Gearson would be out on lap 104 because of an engine failure. And then Brad Kozlowski would be 14th as of lap 129. Where he wrecks Ralph Carlo. Why? And then he also puts Tommy Highbanks down the lap. Why? And James Garrison would bump Brad Kozlowski into the wall on lap 143. Hooray! And Phil Tankson asks James Garrison if they could be friends. And now, these 2 racers are now friends. And the mean green car, TX, has something to say that he doesn't have any friends. And then he is escorted out of the infield by security and suspended for the rest of the season. Then Kurt Busch-Tire would get back on the lead lap on lap 381. And Speedy Comet would be out on lap 385 because of a crash. Both Darren Leadfoot and Cal Weathers would lead the most laps this race, leading 81 laps each, but Tony Gasworth would win the 31st race of 2011, with Bobby Swift finishing second once again, followed by Darren Leadfoot, Kevin Carvick, and Cal Weathers rounding out the top 5. Brian Sparks would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 37th. Matt Karzeth would start at pole position for the 32nd race of 2011, where Kyle Busch Tire would wreck a bunch of cars. Again, why? And Speedy Comet would be out on lap 79 because of a crash. And Ernie Gearson would be out on lap 108 because he got too tired. Lightning McQueen would go airborne on lap 177, but he is still in the race. How? And Jeff Burnton would jump over Dino Draftski on lap 180. How? And Bruce Miller would be out on lap 189 because of an engine failure. Maury Clutchburn would T-bone. Who does he T-bone? The mean orange car on lap 203. And Bobby Swift would lead the most laps this race, leading for 154 laps before winning the 32nd race of 2011. With Carl Edwards finishing second, who finishes third, Cal Weathers, Mike Yankee Jr. finishing fourth, and Matt Karzeth rounding out the top 5. Juan Pablo Montoya would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 28th. Matt Karzeth would start at pole position yet again, but for the 33rd race of 2011, where Speedy Comet would accidentally wreck himself and Ralph Carlo on lap 1. Then, on lap 2, Lightning McQueen would take the lead and lead for the next 448 laps? How does any car lead for that many laps in a row? How did he keep the lead for so long? But one good thing did come of it. Kyle Busch Tire didn't wreck anybody this race. Joe Brakecheck would be out on lap 23 because of an engine failure. And Rex Revler would be out on lap 48 for the same reason. Jimmy Cables would go airborne on lap 79 because of Brad Keselowski. Why? And this also led Brick Yardley to go down a lap because of the crash and a long pit stop. Todd Marcus would be out on lap 94 because of an engine failure. And Kyle Traxon from the stands got bored. And then he threw a can which hit Phil Tankson, who would be out on lap 117. And Kyle Traxon, for his actions, will be suspended for the rest of the season and the first half of next season. And Paul Racedraft would be out on lap 426 because of an engine failure. Then Kurt Busch Tire would wreck other cars on lap 435. Why? And Lightning McQueen, of course, led almost every lap. But Kyle Busch Tire would be 10th as of lap 449 when he wrecked Dale Earnhardt Jr. Why? And Bobby Swift would take the white flag, but he wouldn't win the race because Reb Meeker would get his very first win, winning the 33rd race of 2011. With Bobby Swift finishing second this race, Lightning McQueen third, Cal Weathers fourth, and Brad Keselowski rounding out the top 5. And Chip Gearings would actually finish on the lead lap this race, finishing 33rd. Bobby Swift will start at pole position for the 34th race of 2011, where Samuel Serpentino would be 31st as of lap 1, where he wrecks his rival Bogart Hopscotch. Of course he did that. And Speedy Comet would take the lead for 3 laps until lap 5, where Chip Gearings, Rex Revler, Tommy Highbanks, David Rudikar, Buck Beeringley, Ernie Gearson, Maury Clutchburn, Jamie McCarry, Brick Hicks, Todd Marcus, Dino Draftski, Phil Tankson, Ryan Newcar, Samuel Serpentino, and Marcus Cranksler would all go down 1 lap. Then, on lap 5, Speedy Comet would crash. And then Kyle Busch Tire would make fun of him before he would be out with an engine failure the very next lap. Talk about karma. And Jeff Burnton, as well as Martin Carx Jr., would go down the lap as a result of this crash. But Ryan Newcar would get back on the lead lap on lap 85. Chip Gearings would be out on lap 101 because of the usual engine failure. Mark Outerbrakes would also be out on lap 114 because of an engine failure. And Todd Marcus would get back on the lead lap on lap 173. Kurt Busch-Tire would be second as of lap 189, where he'd wreck the leader, Brick Hicks. Why? And Matt Karzeth would be out because of an engine failure on lap 234. Cal Weathers would lead the most laps this race, leading for 87 of them, but Casey Corner would win the race, winning the 34th race of 2011, with Bobby Swift finishing second once again, Kevin Carvick finishing third, Cal Weathers fourth, and Tony Gasworth rounding out the top five. Mark Carton would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 23rd. Weirdly, T.G. Castlenut would start at pole position for this race. Kyle Busch-Tire will be suspended this race because he wrecked too many cars in the lower divisions. Scott Speed would be out on lap 7 because of an engine failure, and Ryan Thunderbolt Jr. would also be out because of an engine failure on lap 22. Ricard Smith would be out because of a crash on lap 24, and Speedy Comet would be out for the same reason on lap 43. Michael McDrivewell would be out on lap 47 because of an engine failure, and Casey Corner would also be out on lap 50 because of Joey Logano. Why? Direct of the cars, and Doug Throttleman would be out the very next lap because of Joey Logano. Why? And Todd Marcus would be out on lap 199 because of an engine failure that was caused by Joey Logano, who would be out himself on lap 296 because of Phil Takeson. Hooray! Ernie Gearson had to retire from the race on lap 321 because he got too tired. Kevin Carvick would lead the most laps, leading for 202 of them, but Brick Yardley would be the winner of this race, causing Kevin Carvick to finish second this race, followed by Cal Weathers, Bobby Swift, and Mike Yankee Jr. rounding out the top five. Paul Racedraft would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd. These four cars, Bobby Swift, Cal Weathers, Carl Edwards, and Tony Gasworth, all can mathematically win the Piston Cup this year from the last race. Bobby, Cal, and Carl all have had good seasons this season, and Tony Gasworth can win if he gets lucky. Then, for the next four, we have Lightning McQueen, Kevin Carvick, Matt Karzeth, and Kyle Busch-Tire. Let's start with the defending champion, Lightning McQueen, who's had a massive drop-off from his record-breaking Piston Cup season win last season in 2010. Meanwhile, the other three have just had good seasons. Well, Lightning McQueen is having a bad season by his standards.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Lightning McQueen flipped multiple times this season. Wouldn't you think that's a bad season? And Kevin Carvick and Matt Karzeth have just had good, solid seasons. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch-Tire, who has missed one race through suspension, is still 8th in points. He has been wrecked out a few times, but also finished in the top 5 many times. The 2011 Piston Cup season has proven to be a lot more competitive than the 2010 season, where Lightning McQueen won the Piston Cup by nearly 1,000 points. Meanwhile, Lightning McQueen is less than 1,000 points behind Bobby Swift, and the 2011 LA 500 race and season standing summary video will be coming out soon enough. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. It has been nearly 1 year and 6 months since the war started. That's 18 months. Much too long for a war. Nobody asked for this. Nobody except the tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin, who gave the orders for Russian troops to cross the border. Nobody else wanted this. The Ukrainian people just wanted to live in peace and have freedom. And many are now stuck in the dark and in the cold. But the Ukrainian armed forces has proved resilient so far in defending most of Ukraine, as most of the country is still under Ukrainian control. Unfortunately, Crimea, the Donbass, and parts of Kherson and Mariupol Oblasts, as well as a small part of Kharkiv Oblast, remain under illegal Russian occupation. For Russia, the war is going so badly that their mercenary forces, the Wagner Group, don't even want to fight for them anymore. And Vladimir Putin, you are on the wrong side of history because of your tyranny. We here at the hashtag KABullets YouTube channel stand firmly with Ukraine. Slava Ukrainie! Heroям слава! Нехай швидше дарується Україні перемога! Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes! May Ukraine be granted victory very soon!